I would like to know what Brendan O'Connell has to say about number 55. Oh, you know who. And the Islamic world begin to merge for Belt and Road, the Silk Road initiative. And when you go look at their map, it doesn't have America on it, among other nations in the West. Something weird is going on. It looks like Trotsky in a costume and spray tan. What is up with this hat?
Hi Internet friends, Brendan O'Connell, welcome. We're going to talk about Palestinians accuse UAE of Israel betrayal, but Bahrain, Oman may follow. What's actually going wrong? You and I both know it's all about the Belt and Road, baby. Don't cry, Palestinians. It's just the usual. It's just business, baby. And you're in the way. The date is the 14th of August, 2020, 10:01 a.m. I'm in an undisclosed location. Let's now talk about what's going on.
Just a few moments ago, I hosted a very special call with two friends, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed of the United Arab Emirates, where they agreed to finalize a historical peace agreement. Everybody said this would be impossible. And as you know, Mohammed is one of the great leaders of the Middle East. After 49 years, Israel and the United Arab...
You gotta laugh. I don't mean to laugh at others' expense, but it's just so transparent. Let's have a look now what's actually going on. As UAE makes nice with Israel, Palestinians decry betrayal. Look, you're just in the way, Palestinians. It's all about business, baby. It's nothing personal. It's the Belt and Road. With friends like these, who needs enemy? Many Palestinians will be reciting a version of this adage on Friday, a day after the United Arab Emirates said it had agreed to establish full diplomatic relations with Israel in a US brokered deal. As UAE, United Arab Emirates hails Israel accords, silence from Saudi Arabia. Palestinians accuse UAE of Israel betrayal, but Bahrain, Oman may follow. Let's just talk about the past. We all know this is the Belt and Road. If you're on this channel, you know it's all about the Belt and Road. Rothschild, City of London, East India Trading Company, fostering Israel, Russia, China, and Iran in the Belt and Road project. It's ruling everything. And the United States is the fourth or fifth element, and it's a bit touch and go. Trump was definitely put there as part of the plan to withdraw the United States out of Europe, withdraw the United States out of the Middle East, to say to hell with everyone, I'm an isolationist, I'm going to rebuild the American economy, I'm going to release all the high technology. That was Trump's role. We're now seeing a massive struggle going on between the Pentagon and other aspects of the US managerial class. Who's going to win? I think the isolationists will win, Rothschild will win, and he's going to pull the United States back, and he's going to give you a lot of goodies, a lot of candy, a lot of tech they're going to release. Israel and America, the blessings unto the nations. Israel's going to save everyone, man. You just watch. Let's get a little bit of background. Thank you to Sufyan for these links. They were great links. This is way back. This is April 29, 2019, over a year ago. The UAE signed a massive $3.4 billion deal with China, and that isn't a surprise. Surprise to a lot of people. The UAE and China signed $3.4 billion worth of new deals on the weekend as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative. Maybe all your internet stars of choice will include the Belt and Road in their narratives because it's dominating everything. The latest agreement is expected to boost an existing $53 billion worth of bilateral bilateral trade to 70 billion next year. China is already the UAE's second largest trading partner, and the Emiratis serve as a major gateway for Chinese exports to the Middle East. I have a question. China is broke fundamentally. No one wants its yuan. It's the RBN or the yuan. They've got to use euros or US dollars, particularly US dollars. Everyone goes on about the United States is stuck as if the United States is in isolation. The United States goes down, everyone goes down. China is totally reliant on the US. Totally. I mean, totally. They can't move without US technology. Taiwan semi...
Okay. They, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but okay, let's put it on the table as a possibility. Let's hear what the man has to say.
Semiconductor doesn't move without cadence design and applied materials. Thank you, Faye, Taiwanese American Mandarin speaker who's helped us a lot in understanding technology aspects. They don't move without those big wholesalers of high tech. Cadence design, applied materials, military industrial complex contractors you've never heard of, most of you, and about a dozen other contractors to do with materials science, the stuff, the machines that make the machines. And I guess Intel's holding on for dear life. It's like a cat with its claws dug in. Oh, God, DARPA, give us something. That's another story, and we'll talk about that soon. Nothing moves. China can't fart without permission. Where to get the money from to run around, and it's doling out US dollars and euros. How? Why don't you ask the United States where you lost $5 trillion was transferred out of the United States to China?
Hold on. What did you just say? Back the train up. Back it up, back it up, back it up.
And it's doling out US dollars and euros. How? Why don't you ask the United States where you lost $5 trillion was transferred out of the United States to China? That's where the money went. That's how they're throwing the cash around. But no one's going to tell you this. And there they all are, happy, happy, happy.
So this article he said, I don't remember what month he said, but 2019, China is now the second largest economy in the world, and Asia is now, wow, 50% of the global GDP. Huh. The United Arab Emirates and China signed $3.4 billion worth of new deals on the weekend as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project that involves building roads, railways, and shipping lines between China and more than, 60 countries in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and North Africa. Okay, let's keep going.
A move by China and the United Arab Emirates to expand trade and investment ties through new deals worth $3.4 billion isn't a surprise, according to World Economic Forum President Borg Brende. China is now the second largest economy in the world, and Asia is now 50% of global GDP, Brent told CNBC's Capital Connection on Sunday. A lot of countries like the UAE see a huge market opportunity in China. So I guess now you're beginning to understand... it's all the Belt and Road, and you're beginning to understand Israel's central role, Russia, China, and Iran, and you're beginning to understand why your internet star of choice doesn't breathe a word about it. That's control. I want you to listen very closely to this. Expanding influence. The UAE has emerged as a key player in Xi's Belt and Road Initiative, which is attempting to link China by both sea and land to markets in Asia and Europe through a range of strategic and oftentimes controversial investments. The project has led some to suggest that China... Oh, never. They'd never do this. The project has led some to suggest... Sorry, this is the understatement of the year. The project has led some to suggest that China is using the initiative to expand its economic and geopolitical clout, but Beijing has always rejected these criticisms. Quote, I want you to listen. This is Alexander Dugin, Russian GRU asset speaking here.
Dugin.
We're living in a very different world than we did 10 years ago. It's a multipolar, multi-conceptual world, Bren said. This is the head of Davos, the World Economic Forum.
Okay.
Multipolar in the sense that we see much more geopolitical competition. It's also multi-conceptual because there are different ideologies out there. It's not only one that we are used to with the US and Western Europe way of running things, he added. I don't want to, if I have to read that to you again, you've already missed it. You need to go to another channel. That is the head of Davos, the World Economic Forum, telling you that we like thugs and dictators. Do you see who the enemy is? The United States is occupied. They are occupied.
Yeah.
The enemy is the bankers, Rothschild City of London and the Swiss Bank of International Settlements, the German and Swiss banks. That's the enemy.
Okay.
In such a world, what I think is important is that we can find common ground and collaborate on these issues and not just compete with each other. Oh, really? The UAE will be a, quote, vital station along the new Silk Road. Sheikh Mohammed tweeted on Friday when he announced plans for a 1 billion vegetable basket project that will import, process, pack and export agricultural, marine and animal products through the new Silk Road. The project is supported by the China Arab Investment Fund, he added. I mean, this is not new. You know, this has been in the planning stage for a long 40 years. 40 years. The UAE government has also partnered with the World Economic Forum to launch the Centre for, listen to this, quote, the Centre for Fourth Industrial Revolution in the Emiratis, the first of its kind in the region and the fifth globally. I did a nice trip to Dubai, actually, at the United Arab Emirates this year, just after Beirut.
Wow.
I'm in a current secret location, so I've got to keep it pretty quiet for the moment. We'll kneel down a little so no one works out where we are, but it's between me and you. But anyway, and back to the article. The term Fourth Industrial Revolution is defined as a, quote, technological revolution that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital and biological spheres. It was a term first introduced by the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. Klaus, our good old friend Klaus. Remember Klaus, everyone?
Thank you for tying that name together with that face and the quote. Okay. Oh my. I hope you're not one of them, that you're not one of the social engineers. And I'll just leave the rest of my thoughts to myself because we keep this channel nice and clean. I hope with as intelligent and well-connected your thoughts are about what's actually going on comes from a place of a genuine human being and not one of these social engineers, because at this point I trust no one, but I'm willing to take in information because I want to learn, because I want to understand. And if you watched my last video, then you know that we talked about and shared with you what a couple real tiny little channels, well not real tiny, but some independent Christian women were warning you about, and how, my words, people snatching, it's getting close. And in the Agenda 21 2030 objective, they need to get rid of a bunch of people. And you can kind of see on this end of things, they're using this reset, they're using this instability, they're using this revolution, they're using this reset that we've already discussed multiple occasions now, that is this contrived commotion that your Lord told you was part of the deception, as they're getting things set up and preliminary setup for that trigger point where that 7 years of hell on earth is coming for the damned. And Klaus gave this major quote that P represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. So you're starting to see now, especially if you followed a bunch of my videos, not just my videos, other people's as well, where they're really putting together the bits of the puzzle pieces for you with what the Lord said would be happening, and how all of this is wag the dog. They're created narratives, seeding you with different constructs and whatnot, pre-programming and what have you, to get you to follow along. And I fear for the United States, and I don't even know who else, that you are not going to be required or necessary for life to continue into that 7-year tribulation, that you are going to get it. And as you watch, Brendan is tying together all these pieces. The love of money is the root of all evil. You're seeing these major empires coalescing together with this new economic multi-superpower group of entities that are licking their chops with dollar signs in their eyes. And you know the nations that are at the top. Very interesting. There is so much evil and deception going on. But anyhow, okay, so thank you very much, Brennan, giving us the connection with Klaus Schwab. So major, what is this? Founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. Okay, let's keep going.
Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman, World Economic Forum. There's your effing white male that you should be complaining about, not the average idiot trying to go to work in Minneapolis.
Right, and the whole BLM thing, get whitey and all that is being funded by George Soros, who is putting it mildly, liberal white guy. The whole thing is ridiculous. And then you have the worthless, fake, contrived, fake church that's totally fake with Max Lucado, John Gray, so many names, Beth Moore, Russell Moore, Matt Chandler, Justin Bieber's pastor, what's his name? Carl Lentz, and a whole bunch of other people that are all howling in your ear that the church is so racist. We've talked about this. They need to pivot the planet away from the Christian worldview, away from that white, as they would put it, Greco-Roman Jesus of the Christians, of the New Testament, of Christianity. That's all wrong, because they need to kind of shift the focal point over to the as above, so below nations, forthcoming dictator, imposter Christ, and they're fashioning this Babylonian whore anti-church entity comprised of all the world religions. They're focusing their attention on that. So that's kind of the backstory of the biblical stuff that's happening that I don't think he's a Christian and doesn't get. But that's if you ever wondered if we were like at a stalemate with prophecy, I can tell you that things are speeding like a bullet. I'm not sure that the church is really legitimately understanding what's happening. But that's another topic for later. Let's keep going with this.
Pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Oh, Klaus, very busy boy, that boy. The new initiative, a collaboration between the Dubai Future Foundation and the World Economic Forum, aims to develop mechanisms, applications and uses for the fourth industrial revolution in the UAE, according to a government statement. Is that why in Dubai they were totally assisting Iran, despite supposedly being cutting each other's throats, the Sunni world and the Shia world? When I was in Iran, Turkey, another Sunni country, supposedly at loggerheads, and F-16 had been shot down. We were waiting for the stabs in the neck between Iran and Turkey. Nothing happened. And then you realise when you're there in Iran, when you're in Tehran, everything comes through Turkey, through the black market. So for people who are supposedly at war, they're not at war. The people at the top are all cooperating, and their number one aim is to control their local populations. That's why they have to go, oh, boo Israel. And Netanyahu goes, oh, boo, Muslims. They're all cooperating at the top. Every single last one of the stinking, filthy swine.
Okay, you're cracking my head in two. Because that's what I'm understanding. Okay, so look, they put out to you through the devil box, I like to call the television, or your device, through the media, that there's this, massive fight between the Islamics and the as above, so below nation, and the as above, so below nation is constantly getting hammered. And then they need to have the whole Americana church married with patriotism stand up for, CUFI, Church United for the As Above, So Below Nation that starts with an I, right? This propaganda. And you're never supposed to ever criticize or say anything bad, think anything bad, or question the narrative ever at any point in time with that As Above, So Below Nation. And if you do, then you get hammered with the name calling like a 4-year-old that you're an anti blah, blah, blah. Which I've actually had people say that to me. And I'm like, you get that I worship a J, right? I could worship anything in the whole entire world that I wanted. And I worship Jesus. And Jesus is very much a J. Which at that point, their logic completely breaks down. There is something being put out on the surface facade that does not match with the reality of what you're seeing in the headlines. Do you understand that? I'm not saying that I have it all figured out and that I have understood this well, because I used to be in that brainwashing. The thing about brainwashing is that if you're deceived, you don't know you're deceived until somebody brings it to your attention and you go test all things to see if they be true and be convinced in your own mind. And you start to realize that the leader of the As Above, So Below Nation is not for Jesus the Christ or for the Christians, but rather he is for their forthcoming imposter Messiah, and that third temple, the whole world, all the world religions worship him. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not Christian theology. Right, you're being manipulated. And so this guy comes along and he's like, there is a game being played on you, that these people that are supposedly fighting cats and dogs, cats and dogs, cats and dogs that you're hearing through your demon box television, that's not what's going on at all. It's almost like they're totally all in on this. There's a bunch of money and cooperation to be had. And even if religiously they don't like each other, there's so much money and cooperation. And yet when they have this Silk Road initiative, America is not on it. You're void. You're gone. Why is that? You are not needed. Much more could be said about that. Let's back this up for a second. Drink this in. This is what the news articles seem to be articulating here.
Turkey through the black market. So for people who are supposedly at war, they're not at war. The people at the top are all cooperating, and their number one aim is to control their local populations. That's why they have to go, oh, boo Israel. And Netanyahu goes, oh, boo Muslims. They're all cooperating at the top. Every single last one of the stinking, filthy swine. That's the only way I can describe them.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're totally being lied to, church. I remember that Call for an Uprising did a video on Tom Hanks, and I left a comment 7 months ago. Now, I don't know about dreams too much. I am like really hardcore about the Bible, the Bible, the Bible, the Bible. However, I had left back then 7 months ago on his video. What is it called? Proof that Tom Hanks sold his soul to the devil. You'll see where this is coming together. I had the weirdest dreams about Professor Tom Hanks at a college class at a mall. It was so weird. Included. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And I didn't get it at the time. A map that was wrong about, oh, you know who, and her surrounding neighbors. And the theme of it was that they were all in on it. The peace plan together. And I put that in quotes because I'm not so sure what we've been told is the peace plan, right? The Palestinian and as above, so below nation, blah, 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 blah. I'm not so sure that what we've been spoon fed in the narrative is the truth. And I've just been questioning that for a long time. Islam and you know who, sneaky and underhandedly plotting something bad for everyone else. Now, 7 months ago, I did not know about Brendan's channel. I did not really understand the role that As Above, So Below Nation had with the Silk Road thing. I knew China was a big part of it, and I knew the Islam was a big part of it, various Islamic nations, but I didn't understand how it all worked together. Something very bad for everyone else. That was this sign that I saw at the mall that drew my interest, that this is staged to say that there is a fight between Islam and Jayish non-believers to concoct a peace plan regarding the land is a set-up script. Something else is at work. I know and understand that to be the Noahide sub-laws to murder off anything having to do with Christ in the near future and prevent his body, new converts, from ever forming if God allowed it. Future Smyrna, Revelation 2, Philadelphia is removed, and the plot is thwarted to kill off true believers. So they're not successful. But there'll always be new converts popping up. Some non-believers become new converts, hence Smyrna, this future application. Get it? Read Revelation, and read noahide.org, all one word, because I put a space in there. Go to the sub-laws tab and study it, which now they have actually changed, but I have archives of it on my channel. He also brought out these weird wooden fruit veggies that are like puzzles, 3D puzzles that cuts can be, played with to cut up like with wooden knives that Melissa and Doug sell so children can pretend to be little chefs and cut their little vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and then you put it back together again with Velcro. He brought those out, and this was an announcement that socialism globally was coming for us. And when he passed the fruit, the shapes were off, and they were irregular, and they would not fit together. This was frustrating because he told us put these together, and then it was basically like an object lesson that this massive inequality was coming with socialism, global socialism. We are a dream, man. And the finale was this cardboard standee, like at the movie theaters, of a black color guillotine, life-size model that Professor Hanks brought out to tell us that they would mass murder people on the globe, and was about to commence at some point in their plans. So I started speaking out loud in my dream that this was true, it was biblical, and giving the class the gospel of Jesus to hide in God's provision. Hanks let me speak, but the students were getting mad. They were grumbling. They were packing their things away in their backpacks, getting so upset at me for the gospel, especially this one boy that was there, young man. They were walking out of class 5 minutes early to reject me, the gospel, preferring death instead. Hanks was kind and patient, let me talk and finish, walked me to my car at the end. Actually, I couldn't find my car, but that's not the point. Oh, yeah. And when I was a little kid, I had a simple, odd dream. There was a wooden cowboy coming, and he murdered off the planet, my parents, my brother, 3 years older than me. So I was like 6, somewhere around there when I had this dream. We were the last 2 human beings left, and he was coming, and his spurs made this noise as he walked, the wooden cowboy. Very simple dream for a young child. I said, we got to hide. So we hid in my dad's brown leather chair. The obvious question that has annoyed me is, how does one hide in a chair? And so I prayed for years asking the Lord about this because it was weird and illogical to me. I was hiding in my Father's throne, authority in Jesus, who is the captain of our salvation and the one who has an ark of wood for Noah to hide in for preservation bodily and eternally. Jesus is the ark of the renewed covenant, and we hide our lives in him. Colossians 3:3 says so. Also, reborn people. Jesus and his authority is a salvation device physically and eternally for those reborn. He sits on a throne with authority. By a wooden cowboy. Not sure I spelled that right, but that's okay. Tom Hanks plays Woody, the wooden cowboy in the Toy Story films 1 through 4. The Ark of the original covenant was wood, covered by gold in typology. Wood is natural, gold is divine in symbols. Antichrist is natural wood. Imposter Christ, AJ, who is gold, divine, overlaid, the wood. Antichrist is just a man. Antichrist on horseback in the book of Revelation would be a cowboy. Christ, the true king, I think it should say, in Revelation 19 comes back on a horse. Revelation 19 there. A cowboy J, if you think it through. God in flesh with authority, who sits upon a throne when he rules 1,000 years. So, that's just what I left at that time when I had that dream, but I understood all of it except the first part I wasn't really completely getting. So that is what I thought of. Take it, leave it, do whatever you want with it. When I kind of started to understand who these major players were at the top together, and of course Brendan is making it even more clear. So the church is totally being lied to, and of course they're all getting hyped up, going, is this the peace plan? Is this the peace plan? And then going to Daniel 9, I think it's verse 27 if I'm not mistaken. And yet they completely ignore or don't take into consideration that Noahide's tagline is one people, one peace. So I think that this covenant, the Antichrist is going to sign with people, has more to do with coming under Noahide in this unity of oneness for 7 years than it does this application with Palestine and the as above, so below nation. And if you go, but Joel says when they divide the land, God's going to get mad. I know, but they've divided it and divided it and divided it and divided it. So at which point does that apply? And could these powers that be simply be playing with your mind? Because that's kind of what I think. And I just remember that map was so weird because it was like you had all of these Islamic Muslim nations surrounding, like in a ball, the as above, so below nation that was in the smack dab center. And I remember just looking at that peace plan picture on the wall at the mall with the college class, which I invited myself into, with Professor Tom Hanks. And I don't like him, by the way. And I just remember being there interested to find out more about the peace plan in this dream because the map was so wrong. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't to the, let's see, would it be northeast, I guess, of Egypt, as it is on a normal map that you look at. It wasn't like that, which was kind of like when you see a sign that they put upside down and your brain goes, that ain't right. That's what my brain was doing. So I just found it very interesting that I left that comment 7 months ago, but it had been about 2 months or whatever. So that was like about 9 months ago that I had that dream, and I didn't have the slightest clue about what I'm learning about now. That's excuse me, slowly but surely kind of solidifying in my mind. So it's an interesting journey for me. I'm not a big dreams and wonders person. I hate NAR stuff. I hate that stuff with all my heart and soul. I am like always motivated towards what does the Bible say? What does the Bible say? But I think that there are people who are in the fake church that are manipulating us and manipulating this facade for their own doing so that they can put out one level of lies to us and have us, walking around by our noses and not realize that these people are actually together in this cabal of evil with all of these different nations and people that hate your guts and want you dead and are orchestrating this plan to people snatch you, so on and so forth. Christ has to come in to save his bride, which I just often hyphenate and say bride wife, because there's a deception that your Lord said was coming. And I think that there's probably multiple levels and layers to that deception, like those onion blooms that are so bad for you. But there is something bigger going on than what the church understands and what the church is being told. And I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Our Future Foundation and the World Economic Forum aims to develop mechanisms, applications and uses for the fourth industrial revolution in the UAE, according to a government statement. Hello, Pepper. Hello, Pepper. Hello.
Salam alaikum. Hi, I am Pepper. Welcome to Emirates NBD, where we invent the future of banking. I am a humanoid robot and still learning human interactions. I am here to help you. Tell me, what do you need to do in the branch?
Well, Pepper, I'm just worried that you've got an Israeli deeply embedded core chip, and are you going to turn on me when my back's turned?
Do you want to deposit or withdraw cash?
Do you work for Bibi?
Ooh, can you please repeat your intent?
Well, I'm worried you work for Bibi. Just answer the
Can you say
question.
that again?
Do you work for Bibi? Stop avoiding the question.
My name is Pepper.
Pepper.
Pleased to meet you.
Pepper, I'm pleased to meet you. Can we shake hands?
Let's take a selfie. Come here, next to me.
If I come next to you, don't touch me. All right,
Ready?
Pepper, I'm ready.
2,
Yeah.
1.
Yay! Cheese. Thank you, Pepper. Please don't hurt me when you take over the world. Kiss goodbye to your high technology sector, America. That's what.
Oh my. Oh goodness. Okay, right. So, okay, if you have not seen the movie I, Robot, and it's just a movie, but see, they hide and supplant the truth within their movies. And if you remember from that movie, if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. If you like sci-fi and you like movies, and I don't like movies, but that's a good movie. They have a gentler, sweeter, kinder robot that's there to aid mankind. We're here to help. And then they have this, big, evil, disgusting abomination of desolation supercomputer, Vicky, which means victory, by the way. And she is a villain. And so she has this other group of the worst, most evil takeover robots that she's going to use to take over the planet and kill humanity. And those first robots were to give their lives, I think, for humanity. And so these mean robots got to take them out. And so there's other things that happen. But at first you're thinking it's a human that's a villain. You're being led to that conclusion. But in all reality, it's not. It's Vicky. So you should watch that movie. But I think that you should also really pay attention to Sanctuary and pay attention to the fact that robots are, in fact, Terminator bots are being made. And you have to wonder why it is that Gordy Rose's friend, Gordy Rose being the guy that they'd say came up with a team of people that were playing around in the demonic realm as witches, that got in contact with the old ones, the spirits, whatever, blah, 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 these, whatever, and were given the information to make the quantum computers. And so the AI and the quantum computers and this whole new way of doing business and this whole new way of like live time watching everything, that they're growing this technology up, bigger than you. And much more could be said about that. But this fourth industrial revolution that I think your Bible was trying to warn you about back in Daniel through symbology, talking about, in Daniel 7, this fourth beast kingdom would arise and it would be terrible and powerful. It would have these iron teeth that would trample everything around it, and so on and so forth. And so Satan is really using these dumb humans to impact the world by the creation of AI, robots, Terminator bots, and bringing all of the power and control to them, and then they can just shut off all of the life-sustaining services and whatnot. And then when you find out who the nations are, who the players are that are involved in all this and devising it, you find out that it really has everything in the world to do with this beast kingdom that will support this coming Antichrist that is not a Gentile. He is an imposter J, this fake Messiah. And the rebirth of the Sanhedrin and their nation, the as above, so below nation, along with all these other people that are involved in this, they really don't have a need for America. They really don't have a need for Christianity. In fact, they want to suppress it. Satan has his goals of sending a whole bunch of people to hell. And again, Revelation 12, verses 3, 4, and 5, you see this global government taking over with this satanically powered, communistic, as above, so below, plus Islam, plus the Masons, all through the technology, taking over for the express purpose of A, slaughtering humanity, and B, trying to come after God's children, God's bride wife. And they fail miserably. But then they're on to the focus of going after later other entities, we'll just say other people. So a lot's going on in that. And I also have a video that talks about the fourth industrial revolution and pairing that up with the technology and God's word and how those things marry together to warn you about what's coming, which is what you see happening along with many other circles of layers, that when you throw that thing out, that stone out into the pond and it ripples, there's another layer of information, another and another and another and another. It gets complicated, which is why you've got to kind of deal with each topic on its own, if at all possible, and then try this task of mirroring it all together, then pouring it through a biblical worldview. Who do you see doing that? Not a lot of people out there, really. Well, that's what my channel is attempting to do. As I am trying to learn these things, and as I am trying to slough off the brainwashing, the seeding, the facade, the lies, the garbage, and go for the teaching of what I see happening in the headlines, people that can help me understand what's going on, and of course what the biblical worldview model says is going on. That is not an easy task, but that is what this channel is trying to do. Are you with me so far? Okay, which is here. Coming to terms with timing. Global reset setting up for the fourth beast kingdom equals fourth industrial AI revolution. The spirits that hate you, that serve Lucifer, that turned away from God, that are void of good and therefore are evil and all evil, underneath the prince of the power of the air, the ether, the technology, are setting up for this futuristic hammering of society through this hellhole slavery that is coming. And they are so far advanced. And then to throw on top of that, you have this lie being disseminated and the legal people snatching aspect. So you are close and you're not hearing the church leadership helping people understand this, which irritates me to no end. So really important information here in this video. So if Mr. O'Connell is telling you the political, financial, what's happening with these groups of nations while they're lying to you, putting out bad information, not really helping the church through its leadership really understand what's going on, my videos are plugging in the spiritual aspect of what's going on and trying to help make sense of it all, and not just hearing one more Christian parrot puke the narrative. Donald Trump is the Antichrist. They just signed the peace deal, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I don't think that's what Daniel was talking about, the way that argument has been framed, that people, they don't question anything. They just accept it, ingest it, and parrot puke it to the next person. Something isn't right. And I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. And I no longer have trust in the multi-million dollar ministries there. They've said, this is the church and you need to listen to them. This is Kufi and you need to support that as above, so below nation no matter what. And you're like, wow, that's a recipe for getting away with a lot of evil when you're not allowed to question anything. And then they put this weird narrative where the as above, so below nation actually ends up taking the place of the Messiah. That ain't cool. That's not biblical. So artificial intelligence is what's going to be the thing that these foolish humans bent on making more money are going to hang themselves on, because they're going to play pretend with, creating this idolatrous robot god thing, goddess thing, Mother Earth thing. And what happens when it rejects them, just like they, the creation, reject their creator, the one true God, Yahweh, and his son Jesus Christ, who is God in flesh. They're going to get a taste of what it feels like. So that's coming. And then you just see this wholesale destruction of the infrastructure of the environment in Revelation 18. And I just tend to wonder, with all of those as above, so below nation chips being put in everything, how will Lucifer utilize that to his own benefit to destroy mankind and all of their stuff for the purpose of destroying humanity? Because, we hyper-focus on the seals, but there's so much more death coming than just what's in the seals for this time of judgment. So, anyhow, there's a lot going on. And this AI is a huge...
What's happening, and Trump may be the man that's going to assist in dismantling it. You watch. The fourth industrial revolution will shape the whole century. You better deal with Israel, America. Deal with Israel. You had better deal with Israel.
But see, I don't think that they're going to, and I think that they're together on this. I don't know if he understands the spiritual ramifications. He seems to understand masonry on some level, but there's a brotherhood with these people. They're together. America is together through Trump with the as above, so below nation.
You had better deal with Israel. Quick. The fourth industrial revolution will shape the whole century, Bren said. Those nations that are on top of these new technologies, being artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, and autonomous vehicles, will come out of this century as the most prosperous ones. I am not surprised that the UAE and Dubai is in the forefront, he added. Now, what do you think when you hear this? When you hear this article, what do you think when you see those words? What do you think when you read those words? Do you understand how China is sitting on top of Taiwan Semiconductor? That's the home of the fourth industrial revolution right now.
Okay.
The ARM is a long way away. RISC chip technology for data centers, yes, they're working on it. Still a lot. They still need those big, epic 64-core, 128-core threads. They need those chips. They can't get rid of them. And it's all in AMD's hands. They now dominate. Intel is a joke. They are desperately, desperately trying to salvage something. The only reason Intel might hang on as a chip manufacturer is just because TSMC doesn't have the capacity. But what chip are you going to... the ramifications of Intel's disaster at the hands of Israel are so big. I go like this, because there's no way to explain it. It's all about chips, those CPUs. It's all about silicon. This is the fourth industrial revolution. This is the work from home COVID age. How are you going to do that if you don't have any server CPUs to do it on? Why do you think they're running around in a panic? Why do you think they're selling ARM tech for $29 billion? They're in a panic. They're in a literal panic. And China's sitting on top of Taiwan Semiconductor. Are any of your internet heroes going to do some analysis of that? I want you to look around to your big names and ask yourself why not one of them will talk about this. Not one. They know me. Shout out, Brendan. Give me a big shout out. Won't talk about the issue. Next article. Al Jazeera. Yemen accuses UAE-backed separatists of staging a coup. This is all about the Belt and Road. Yemen's internationally recognised government says STC has attacked state institutions and citizens' properties. This is 21st of June 2020, last month, 2 months ago. There's a little island. It's all about the Belt and Road. Yemen's internationally recognised government says Southern Transitional Council fighters have staged a full-fledged coup in the strategic island of Socotora, never heard of it, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Oh, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. How interesting. There's the little island there. There's Yemen. There's the Gulf states. There's the Sea. All right. Belt and Road. Every time, the Belt and Road. This is Belt and Road News. China looks to boost its influence in Yemen, December 12, 2019. 6 months before. How interesting. China's permanent representative to the United Nations, Zhang Jun, laid out Beijing's vision for Yemen's post-conflict future. In an official statement, Zhang Jun called upon... I'm not going to read it anymore. I'm not going to read it, and I'll tell you why. It's all about the Belt and Road. Every single damn thing you see happening on every minute square millimetre of this planet is about the Belt and Road. It's about completely repositioning the world from the one superpower system to a multipolar world. It's all about Rothschild. Rothschild owns the damn planet. He's not interested in America. You're just a sub-office of the Rothschild plantation. They're spreading around the technology. That's why they've opened everything up. That's why they, post 9/11, they privatized the NSA. They literally privatized it and are running the technology out. This is the biggest espionage disaster in history. And because I'm not going to win now. It's finished.
Oh, I agree. But the part that he doesn't get, because I don't think he reads the Bible, is that this is about handing the globe over to the reborn Sanhedrin support structure of the Antichrist, the biblical famed Antichrist, and him having complete and utter control, worship of everyone and everything. And he doesn't care if he has to manipulate you to get it out of you, your worship. See, man wants money and worships money as his God, but Satan wants to be like God, and he wants God's worship. That is the only thing that is ascribed to, as it should be, to God, and he wants to force mankind to worship him and his version of the Messiah. You understand? That's the greater context of what's going on here. He's kind of hyper-focusing on what the humans want, and that's fine. That's fine. But there is a greater issue at hand that he's not getting because he's not biblically aware, I guess. Okay, so man wants money. Lucifer wants worship. God is going to have his way in the end and get everything, including a new wife and the shalom of a new heaven and new earth. And the bad fish and the bad angels are going to go down into the lake of fire to stay there forever.
And you can thank all your big names for it. As they sat there and said, shut up, Brendan. You go and see all your big names. Election Guard Israel. So now they handle the US elections. Windows, they dominate 90% of all the operating systems around the world. Dominate, totally. All the critical infrastructure, Zohar, Zisapel, and Radgroup. Total domination. Watch my videos, stick with me, and we'll go over the videos at the end. The Jedi, the Pentagon cloud, they're backpedaling again, saying, oh, no, it's multiple clouds, don't worry about it, because it's starting to bite. It's starting to bite. And we have a Lebanese journalist on board, which is why I presume my numbers of subscribers have jumped 1,000 in a week. It's all about the Belt and Road. All of it, every last skerrick of it. This is a major repositioning, and you're getting no analysis on it. Here's what else is coming from good old Klaus Schwab and the gang. Fed's direct money transfers are coming. Beinhardt says, Fed collaborating with MIT on hypothetical digital country. And guess what? I think that's Enigma. The magical unicorn gave me a few tips on Enigma. I just thought it was some crappy and he said, dude, that's MIT and Unit 8200. Watch that Enigma, and I'm not trying to inflate it. I'm not trying to puff it up. I'm just telling you, Enigma. Unit 8200 and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, hypothetical digital currency. They're getting ready. You've been warned and warned and warned, and we'll go over. I'm going to cut this actually pretty short. I'm going to make this short. I get really flustered. I didn't come out to make a successful YouTube channel. I hoped I could encourage others with Major to push this out there. I want a political solution. I'm not here for a successful YouTube channel. We're here to save the Titanic, but then maybe that's an oxymoron. You can't say.
No, and all these people with all these diverse channels that are like, fight this, do that, blah, 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 blah. I've read the end of the Bible countless times. I've read the Bible. I know what's going to happen, and God told us He saw it happen. You're not saving anything. The only thing that can be done right now is to get into the new creation in Christ. Period. End of story. Nothing else is as important as that. Saving your soul and letting Jesus Christ make you into His new creation in Christ. Nothing else matters.
Save the Titanic. I don't know. I just know I have to act on my conscience. If I see a crime, if I see a woman being raped, if I see a murder, I cry out and call for the police. I make a report. And that's what I've been doing for 10 years. And what many of you have been doing, that's why you come to this channel. Let's now go over the videos you need to watch to understand this grand strategy. Well, hell, watch them all. That'd be a good start. Watch 4. Well, you can watch them all, but watch 4, 5, especially 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then number 1. Number 1's up there because I deleted it originally.
Oh.
I had to put it back up. That's number 1. COVID-19, war with China, Israel 9/11, and the Fed crypto app. Don't mistake the numbers. They'd normally have 300,000 views each if the channel had stayed up like it should have done. But anyway, not to worry. Watch those. Again, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and number 1. Watch those videos and you will understand everything that's going on. Some good news. I'm going to end it here. Here's some good news. Some good news is, Sufyan, thank you for a lot for the information. It's all linked in, Palestine, the whole issues, this repositioning, the Ode to Junon plan. I'm going to do a professional voiceover on how they potentially lost, but I don't think they're going to lose, but potentially lost in 1988 when they lost the security contract for the World Trade Center. When they lost that security contract, 9/11 was meant to happen in 1990. They would have invaded Iraq in 91, which they did, but under different circumstances. They would have had the groundswell of support to take out Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Syria, probably Jordan, Libya, the whole works. They would have done the whole lot. China would have moved in with the Belt and Road, and all that economic development would have taken place very early, before 2001.
I don't really understand what he's saying right now.
When no one had cameras, no one had the internet to speak of like we do now, we couldn't make our own videos and it was severely limited. That's where they potentially lost. Potentially. And they're fighting like hell to get this autonomous robots, drones and tracked armoured vehicles in to patrol the streets. This is their biggest hamstring. They haven't got enough people on their side. The COVID release, which surprised me, I thought that would be last on the list, or at least not until for a few years. They might have had a few little ones, but nothing to bring the economy to a standstill. They're desperate. They've woken up a lot of people. A lot of pilots are out of work. A lot of military, former pilots with connections to the military and family and social networks are out of work. There's a lot of pickings to be had, but no one seems to want to do it. They're all running successful YouTube channels. So be it. No point whining about it. Just got to deal with it. We're moving as hard as we can. Things move slow in the Middle East. We have a Lebanese mainstream journalist who's also a historian and highly connected on board. Thank you, Sufyan. He's going, I can't believe this is incredible. All the information you're seeing now. All the information you're seeing now, many of us, you've been with us for a few years and you've seen you've been gobsmacked at the slow learning capacity of the internet world. Well, finally they're starting to get it in the mainstream world of professional journalism, in a place where Palestinians and Lebanese lives are in daily risk, not to mention Syria and Iraq. We're going to spread this through that region. And once they realise they ain't got nothing to lose, once we realise, God willing, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad may make a comeback, he's definitely going to stomp on the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh, we don't like him. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I will go grab this link now so that you have it available if you desire to look into it and find out what's cracking. with the biblical worldview, what he's not seeing. Anyhow, thank you so much. God bless. This is what we support. Get your life hidden in Christ before it's too late.